in your behalf because we can't get any real increase in wages. Every time a real increase in wage comes around for us, the employers are saying, well, yeah, but healthcare costs have skyrocketed. We can't, blah, blah, blah. Our insurance costs have gone da-da-da. And so our wages get stifled, besides the fact that we're competing with third world countries that are, paying anywhere from $1 a day to, I don't know, not even close to minimum wage per hour. This is very tough times for all of us here in America. We've had a way of life that's been eroded at, and on the backs of the people is this horrendous oppression coming from Big Pharma and the Western medicine model. I'd like to just take a moment and read something that I found on the internet from the vice president at NerdWallet. I don't even know what NerdWallet is.
Yes, we'll look into that.
They report on things. Anyway, I was Googling bankruptcies by cause of medical bills, and so I gathered some information, and this had the best of that information and the most current. But it's all the way back to 2013, what I'm sharing with you. So I'm just going to go ahead and read this. It says, bankruptcies resulting from unpaid medical bills will affect nearly 2 million people this year, making health care the number one cause of such filings and outpacing bankruptcies due to credit card bills or unpaid mortgages, according to the new data. And even having health insurance doesn't buffer consumers against financial hardship. The findings are from NerdWallet Health, a division of the price comparison website. It analyzed data from the U.S. Census, the Centers for Disease Control, the federal court system, and the Commonwealth Fund, a private foundation that promotes access, quality, and efficiency in the healthcare system. It says a lot of Americans are struggling with medical bills. NerdWallet estimates that households containing 1.7 million people will file for bankruptcy protection this year. High deductible insurance plans requiring consumers to pay more out-of-pocket costs are a challenge for many households. With an average American family bringing home $50,000 in income, a high medical bill and a high deductible insurance plan can quickly become something they are unable to pay, according to the study. If you have an out-of-pocket maximum of $5,000 or $10,000, that's really tough, he said. The analysis of rising health costs is the first of its kind for NerdWallet. All right, it continues. With millions buried under medical bills, more insured under the Affordable Care Act will not completely solve that problem, says the author. While the ACA, Affordable Care Act, reform, which is Obamacare, reforms will indeed give more people coverage. NerdWallet's data shows that millions of people with year-round full coverage are still overwhelmed by medical bills. She says, I don't think Obamacare is going to get rid of the situation. The data suggests that already insured Americans are struggling, and with the expansion of insurance, it doesn't seem like that problem will go away entirely. It's not a panacea. The number of medically related bankruptcies is slightly less than the rate in recent years. Despite the anticipated 2013 dip, such bankruptcies represent about 3 out of every 5 filings, so that's like 60%. A lot of Americans probably think about bankruptcy as coming from unpaid credit card debt or mortgages, but the root cause of even all those troubles may well be medical bills. Not surprisingly, more than 11 million people will take on additional credit card debt to cover mounting medical bills. Because credit cards often charge high interest rates for unpaid balances, debt only mounts, creating a vicious cycle for consumers. Meanwhile, NerdWallet found 15 million people will deplete their savings to cover medical bills. Another 10 million will be unable to pay for necessities. And we're talking in 1 year. Another 10 million will be unable to pay for necessities such as rent, food, and utilities because of those bills. Skipping prescription medication when their savings are gone and their credit cards are maxed out. Stretched consumers take the drastic step of cutting back on those medications. More than 25 million are skipping doses, taking less medication, or delaying refilling prescriptions to save money. It says, delaying needed medication is a short-term fix that only triggers more health problems in the long term, says the Vice President for NerdWallet. Well, this is something I've been saying in every episode. We're bankrupting this nation. And this is literally, we're bankrupting this nation. You know, when I've used that term before, Deborah, it's been something where I'm saying, well, we're bankrupting ourselves because so much of our gross output has to go toward this $3.5 trillion medical bill that looms over our nation's head every single year. $3.5 trillion. That just is incredible to me. And imagining the major share of that going into a person's pocket, it's like, well, you go from getting paid a $40,000 a year salary to getting paid $55,000, $60,000 a year. You know, in Switzerland, Deborah, they have this healthcare program where they pay people, I think it is $34,000 a year. Every man, woman, and child gets $34,000 a year. And they have no healthcare system. You just go into the marketplace and pay for your own medical costs. So maybe they'll use that money for health insurance. I don't know. But I look at our life and I go, wow, we could get, if we were in Switzerland, we could get $68,000 a year, and we never go into the Western medicine model. I mean, it's like, maybe we should really look at switching, our nationalities. I wonder if they allow, dual citizenship. We could spend summer times in Switzerland collecting our $68,000 a year, and winter times here in the desert Southwest.
So why are we building the America's medicine wheels, and what is the contrast of I know that, can I share, having a child in a coma for 10 years.
Well, that's right. You went through this very thing that we just... And
bankruptcy, medical bankruptcy, our house, everything. I do know what it is to be a young woman and got divorced, and to know all of this tragedy. I had a father who died of leukemia from downwind, and just a lot of syndrome, which was actually from the atomic testing in the Nevada desert during the 1950s. I talk about that quite often on many shows. But also a daughter who had been killed in an unresolved death on the highways. So I know what catastrophe is, but what I want to say about bankrupting our nation, are we bankrupting it because of what we eat, because we're defiant in that which we don't even know the nature of what we really are and how to feed ourselves and what's really happening on the deeper levels? And I found out that way back then, I'm responsible for what I ingest.
Yeah.
What I do with my body.
Well, and you are exactly what I just read there. You went through that whole thing.
What I do eat matters.
Well, Deborah's daughter, had a heart defect.
Tetralogy of Fallot with the avia septicale communis.
Yes, and this is a downwinder passed on genetic mishap that happens from the radioactive fallout. And rather than just allow her to cross over naturally, which is what Mother Nature would have had happen,
we tube fed her for 8 years and had just the extended care. So.
Well, it's just enormous.
In and out of hospitals.
Enormous expense, in and out of the hospital.
I told them I could have owned a
years.
wing on all that I know what my costs
what the
were.
Insurance is paid in, yeah.
And I also see how it works in the system of I actually had several doctors that I actually said, I'm firing you, till I got one that became a family member. He was so wonderful. But what I'm saying is you've got to take back, you've got to, your dollar counts. Everything that you're saying, looking at medicine for me is a whole nother thing.
Well, I think that
I'm with the human accelerator.
I really feel very strongly that people's defiance melts away.
Yes.
When they get this message presented to them in the right kind of format. And that may take some time, but that's the reason why we're building America's medicine wheels, to make this available to the world in architecture that epitomizes exactly what they're going to be getting into in their lives, this walk back into the garden of life. And so it's this interactive type project where they'll have the smells and they'll see the colors and they'll have the tastes and they'll have the knowledge made available to them. And of course, crossing the frontage of our property is over 5 million tourists now coming to these beautiful national parks and monuments here in the desert Southwest. Let me just say that...
Back on your tangent of where we could move to, another country and get paid $86,000.
Well, I was making a joke, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, it's just one of those things
it's so
where
serious.
We could be rich people if we just moved to Switzerland. Oh, by the way, I don't think they're taking any refugees.
No, I don't think so.
No, I think they've kind of shut off their borders to all of that. Okay, so
this is serious, and that you and I say that a lot. How serious this is.
Well, we've got allies.
It's alarming.
We got allies in this ensuing. I don't want to call it a battle. In this ensuing coming forth of a truth whose time has come.
Navigating through the landscape of all this pharmacy.
Our last segment's going to be about one of those allies. This is Adam T. Gardner from the Human Accelerator. You're on Dream Vision 7 Radio. Your place for, a second Genesis awakening, folks. Adam T. Gardner here with the Human Accelerator back at you. All right, so this closing segment for our 2 parts out of this 4-part series is about a website called childrenshealthdefense.org. It has a wonderful, nice little website with lots of information, but I want to try to move pretty fast on this. For those that are interested, you can go to that childrenshealthdefense.org and look at it. But they've got Robert Kennedy Jr. as one of their attorneys that has put together this movement to take on Big Pharma. And down at the very bottom of the front page, there's a short 2.5-minute video about Big Pharma's stranglehold on